Please be seated. I am so happy to welcome you here today. More than 400 mayors and police chiefs come to the White House for this announcement and for our briefings and meetings later today at the Department of Justice to make sure we get this crime bill implemented the right way. Today we mark a new beginning, a new era in our anti-crime efforts. Today we launch a real long-term partnership between federal, state, and local officials, police, prosecutors, community groups, mayors, to fight crime and violence in our communities and to put 100,000 new community police officers on the streets of America. I want to acknowledge a few of the many people who helped get us here today. First, we are pleased to be joined by a delegation from Congress, including Senator Pat Leahy, Senator Paul Sarbanes, who first brought the success of Chief Massey, whom you will hear from, to our attention, Congressman Frank Pallone of New Jersey, Jim Moran of Virginia. Would you please rise and be recognized? We are so honored by the hundreds of mayors, county executives, police chiefs, and sheriffs who are here from all over the nation. You're on the front line in the fight against crime, and we want to give you the support that you need to do the job. Your organizations played such a critical role in getting this crime bill passed, and I want to recognize a few of your representatives who are here with us today. For the police chiefs, we have the incoming president of the International Association of Chiefs of Police, John Wetzel, the chief of police of Choctaw, Oklahoma. He is joined by Roy Keim of the IACP. I also want to thank the many officers, directors, and leaders in other national police organizations who are here today. On behalf of the cities and counties, I want to recognize Tom Cochran and Laura Waxman of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, Janet Quist of the National League of Cities, and Don Murray of the National Association of Counties. Thank you all for your wonderful help in these past 18 months. You've been instrumental in this whole effort. But there is one person who deserves special thanks. Somebody who never gave up. Someone who first proposed cutting the Washington bureaucracy by 100,000 and using the savings to put 100,000 new police on the streets of America. Someone who fought to get the crime bill through the Congress so that the promise would become a reality. Someone who took on some tough special interest and gridlock to make the crime bill a crime-fighting law. So today, on behalf of all of us who were involved in this effort, of law enforcement officials everywhere, I want to say thank you, Mr. President. You were magnificent. Thank you, Mr. President, for the vision to propose a bill that could make a difference on the streets of America. Thank you for the courage to fight for that bill every step of the way and never to give up, and the strength and the determination now to make it a reality, not just months from now, but today and every day from now on. Today, just 12 days after the funding took effect, we are here to announce the first awards of new police officers under the crime bill. Thanks to people who worked hard at the Justice Department, we are getting the money out to start police hiring in just 12 days after the money became available. Crime is too urgent a problem, and proper implementation of the crime bill is too important for us to accept any delay. Today, almost 400 cities will be awarded almost 2,800 new police officers. And coupled with the new police we funded earlier this year, we are now 5,000 police officers closer to fulfilling the President's historic pledge to put 100,000 police officers on our nation's streets. Today we are sending new police officers to every state in the country, urban and rural, to state governments, counties, cities, and towns. Today's grantees include Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Fort Wayne, Mobile, Denver, and Omaha, a total of 22 large cities are each getting at least 25 new police officers as a result of today's grants. But today's grantees also include 150 towns of fewer than 25,000 people, 80 towns of under 10,000 people. These small towns are getting substantial help in the form of 2 or 4 or 8 new officers. Overall, half of all the new police officers in this bill are going to cities and counties of 150,000 people or fewer. All of America will receive and feel the impact of this bill. So today we answer the crime bill critics who said that the crime bill really wouldn't put new cops on the streets, and that if it did, it would only be in big cities, and that even if it did, it would be only 1 or 2 cops per shift. Today we answer these critics, not with rhetoric, not with responders, but with results. We can answer with results because dedicated men and women who are represented here today worked hard to get the crime bill passed, and because we know, you know, the officer on the street knows that community policing is and can get results. I heard that time and again as I travel this country, pressing for the crime bill. I know that 100,000 new officers can make a difference because I know that just one community police officer, just one, can make such a difference to a block, to a school, to a neighborhood. Some of the men on stage here today are such officers. A small sampling of the 2,000 new community police officers we have already funded through the police hiring supplement earlier this year. Others are here from forces that are receiving grants now, officers who will have new partners, new colleagues in a few months because of what we are doing here today. All over the country, the new officers we have funded are already making a difference, as will the thousands more to come from the crime bill, starting with the grants we announced today. It is my pleasure to introduce a chief of police from a smaller city where community policing is making a difference, and where one of our hiring grants helped make an expansion of community policing possible. Police Chief David Massey of Ocean City, Maryland. Chief Massey.
Good morning, Mr. President, Attorney General Reno, ladies and gentlemen. My name's David Massey, and I'm the Chief of Police for the town of Ocean City, Maryland. On August 20th of this year, a member of the Ocean City Police Community Policing Unit was on bicycle patrol within our resort community. The officer's attention was drawn to the cries for help from a female victim who had just been assaulted in a nearby townhouse. Through the direct efforts of 3 of our bike officers in the Community Policing Unit, the suspect wanted for this crime was chased down and apprehended a short time later, and I might add by Officer Glenn McIntyre, who's on my left. He's since been identified as a serial rapist and has been linked directly to at least 22 other sexual assaults in 3 different states. The bike officer who made this arrest would not have been there without the help of the federal government. He was one of 2 officers the Ocean City Police Department was awarded under the Police Hiring Supplement program we received earlier in the year. Every additional police officer we can put on the streets does make a difference. Our community is a resort community on the Atlantic coast that swells from 10,000 to nearly 300,000 people each summer. Community policing has been a very successful tool to fight crime in my community. It has united both the police department and the community in a very powerful partnership against crime. I appreciate the leadership of the President and the Congress in the recent passage of the crime bill. There's no doubt that the additional police officers funded under the crime bill shall aid in the arrest of many other violent criminals, as our federally funded bike officer did. The crime bill shall extend community policing across our nation and support communities in their efforts to suppress crime. Mr. President, In my community, we've already felt the positive impact that a community policing program can make. And now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the President of the United States, Bill Clinton.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, General Reno, for your remarks and your tireless work on this, and for really a brilliant effort on the part of the Justice Department employees to move this grant money only 12 days after the bill became effective out into our communities. Thank you, Chief Massey, for your testimony and for your work, and I want to thank all your forces. When I was introduced to his community policing recruits, I mean, just look at them. They're going to lower the crime rate by walking the streets. And I want to thank the other law enforcement officers from Maryland who are up here, and all of you who are out in the audience today. I thank the members of Congress who are here, Congressman Pallone, Congressman Moran, Congresswoman McKinney, and especially I thank Senator Sarbanes for telling me Chief Massey's story a few weeks ago and bringing this whole issue to my attention as an illustration of how we can fight crime and lower the crime rate through community policing. It was just a month ago that we were here on the South Lawn of the White House to sign the crime bill. We came back today to show determination to implement this law without delay. I want to make 3 points, if I might. One is, I think all Americans know that we can never be strong abroad unless we are first strong at home. As we are very proud of the work our armed forces are doing today in Haiti and in the Gulf, we know that they are able to be there doing what they're doing because they come out of a strong, good country with strong basic community ties and values. And our ability to make our people secure is the critical element of personal freedom that rests at the root of our strength as a nation. The second point I want to say is that we know we've got an issue here we have to deal with, and we're determined to hit the ground running, and we want all of you to help us keep hitting the ground running, not just now, but over the entire life of this crime bill. And the last point I want to make has already been made more graphically and powerfully by the story Chief Massey told. This is not a problem that can be fought in Washington, D.C. The genius of this crime bill is that it empowers people at the community level. In big cities like San Francisco, whose mayor is represented here today, and in smaller communities like Ocean City, to take control of their own destiny, to drive down the crime rate and to catch criminals. The genius of this bill in the end may be that we really did say we're going to pay for this by shrinking the size of the federal government and giving every last dollar of the shrinkage to local communities to fight crime, to prove that they can bring the crime rate down. Not we in Washington, but you out there. This is a bill which gives you the power to take control of the destinies of your people. And I know that you will do it. Today we have rejected decades of excuses that crime is a local problem that Washington can do nothing about, however. Washington can do a lot to help you fight crime. And if you look at the crime bill, in the grants for local police, in the prevention programs, in the help to build prison cells for serious offenders, in the supportive work coming out of the extra help for federal law enforcement authorities, this is an enormous step forward in a national partnership to help people fight crime at the grassroots level. We have to prove here in America that we can make progress on this. We have to prove that we can make a difference. Yesterday, I was in Detroit celebrating the revival of our automobile industry. For the first time in 15 years, it's now clearly #1 in the world in sales worldwide. And it's wonderful to see that the biggest problem in Michigan is now how much overtime they have at the auto industry, a story you wouldn't have heard 10 years ago. But you build a country the same way you build a company like that. You have to face your problems, face your challenges, get people together, empower people to take control of their own destinies, and get after it. And that's what we're trying to do. After I did the event in Detroit, I went by and met with the editorial board of the Detroit Free Press, and they read a letter that a 9-year-old girl named Portia had written to me and asked to be delivered. And she said, "Please, please make me free from fear." That is what we're here about. We can talk about all the details and we can glory in all the specifics, but the bottom line is that we together have made a commitment to make the American people freer of fear. It is a great tribute to the members of Congress who voted for this bill, a tribute to the Attorney General and all the people who work with her who worked so hard for it, a tribute to all of you without whom we would not have passed it. Let me say again that 100,000 police officers is a number that doesn't mean a lot to the average American. Most Americans don't know how many police we have now. They don't know how many that is. They're not sure what it means on their block. There are 550,000 police officers in America today. 100,000 police is nearly a 20% increase. And if they are all put into community policing as they are supposed to be, then it will be at least a 20% increase in the effective police presence on the street in the United States. That is the message we need to get out to the American people so they can imagine what this means. This is something of profound magnitude, not only in catching criminals, but as every officer here will tell you, in reducing the rate of crime in the first place by deterring crime, by the simple, effective presence of community policing. I am very, very proud of all of you for your support. I am very proud of Chief Massey for coming here to tell this story. I want to emphasize one other thing that the Attorney General said before I close. The more we got into this problem, the more we realized that big city crime was going down in some cities, but that the inevitable consequence was that it was being exported to smaller towns and rural areas nearby. That as many of our larger cities perfected their capacity to do community policing and to drive down the crime rates, was actually putting inordinate pressure on the smaller towns who were in the vicinity. And one of the things we were absolutely determined to do is to make sure, I might add, with the support of all the big city mayors, that this would not simply be a big city bill. So now, as you know, we have already put out over 2,000 police officers in 250 different communities of all sizes in the country, and the Attorney General gave you the figures on what we're doing today. I can assure you that over the life of this crime bill, we will not lose focus on the fact that crime is a problem for all Americans in all size communities. 400 communities today, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of more to follow. So I ask all of you now, as we leave this place, not only to celebrate what we have done, but to redouble our efforts. We're getting off to a quick start. We're making our country strong at home, just like we have to be strong abroad. And we know that it starts at the grassroots level. This is something Washington has done to give you the power to change the future of your communities, so that all the little Porsches in this country can think they are truly free. Thank you, and God bless you all.